All right, I'd like to welcome everyone to a regular meeting of the Monroe Town Board for May 11th, 2021. We will not be joined by Councilmember Hogan this night. He has a prior commitment. And I would ask the clerk for roll call.
Councilmember Newman.
Here.
Councilmember Van Tassel.
Here.
Councilmember Donahue.
Here.
Supervisor Kuznier.
Here. And if everyone please rise for pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for that. First item is approval of minutes. We have the regular town board meeting minutes for April 27th, 2021, as well as the audit meeting that was conducted on the same day. I don't know if the board is.
I wasn't here for the audit, so I'm just wondering.
Okay, sure.
I can make a motion to approve the regular town board meeting for April 27th, 2021.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the audit meeting minutes from April 27th, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Abstention by Councilmember Van Tassel. Thank you. Number 2 is set future meetings and workshops. I'm okay at this time. I do have a brief update for everyone on COVID-19. And it is as follows. Presently, as of 3 o'clock today, in Saratoga County, there have been 15,014 confirmed cases of residents that have tested positive for COVID-19. Countywide, there have been 166 deaths. Presently, there's 151 active cases in the county, which is down dramatically since our last board meeting where we had actually 288. So that's a good direction, good numbers to be moving in. Number of recovered cases today is 14,697. Presently, there's 10 individuals that are hospitalized. That number is down from the 15 that we had at our last board meeting. And here in the town of Monroe, there have been a total number of confirmed cases at 697. Number of deaths has been 12 to date. There's presently 11 active cases, which extrapolates to 674 individuals that have recovered. In the village of South Glens Falls, the total number of confirmed cases to date is 203. There have been 0 deaths, and there are presently 6 active cases, which means 197 individuals have recovered. The 7-day average testing positivity rate is presently 1.5% for Saratoga County. That's down from a couple of weeks ago of 1.8%. As of April, actually that number's wrong, as of May 11th, today, the number of Saratoga County residents that have received at least 1 dose of the COVID vaccine is presently 55.8%, and the number of residents that have completed the series is at 47.5%. What is which I'm very pleased to report, from the seniors vaccination standpoint, 82.5% of the seniors in Saratoga County have received at least 1 dose, and 75.8% of our seniors are considered series complete, which are very good numbers for our most vulnerable population. And these numbers do not include those individuals that some may classify as snowbirds that have got their vaccines in Florida and have come back to the area for the summer. And it does not include seniors that have received a vaccine from the federal government, i.e. through the Veterans Administration or other federal entities. So very good numbers, very pleased to report that. Item 4 on the agenda this evening is, as I indicated at our last board meeting, discussion on the town code chapter 70, which is in relation to fences. I actually got another email, actually all board members got an email today from another resident where there's a situation which makes our present code onerous to what she would like to have happen on her particular parcel. I indicated to her that we would be bringing it up at tonight's board meeting. We have some recommendations from our zoning administrator for changes. I have recommendations. I don't know if I provided them to you yet, Carla. What I would like to do is have the board members weigh in on the correspondence we received today, as well as the existing code for fences, and get maybe recommended changes or comments to Carla, so you know, we can take a look at maybe a draft local law for the next board meeting.
Yep, that works. I know that Jim had done some work on it and had sent it to you folks. I can forward that again to you, so you're looking off of Jim's draft. Is that what you want to do, or do you want to?
Off of Jim's draft, but I would also like, you know, board members have any other additional thoughts over what Jim has suggested. I know that we need to have some changes that accommodate the agricultural district to bring something to, so that our people in the ag district are compliant with the existing code. And they're using fences that are considered best management practices. We have some unique situations. This is the second one in 2 or 3 weeks that has come to my attention. And I'll forward that to you, Carla, for input. But we should take a look at her concerns, because it's not, you know, obviously it's specific to her lot, but it's a town-wide issue that we need to look into. And pretty much when these issues come up, it's on those unusually shaped lots that are triangles, that are on corners of public highways, because of the unique requirements that we have for setbacks and height of fences and things like that. So I think there should be a way to accommodate that. I think we can work that out. But I'd like to hear from board members' thoughts on that before we get too far down the road. If we get that to Carla, you know, we can iron out a draft and maybe discuss at the next board meeting, and then we can either move forward with it or make more changes to it.
I'll email it to everyone, so it's on the top of your email change.
If I just ask one question, isn't it the fact that, excuse me, that we don't have fences under the zoning chapter, why it can't go to a zoning board for a variance? Is that part of it, or is that not part of it?
It doesn't allow for any kind of anything in the zone, in the chapter for a variance.
Right.
It doesn't matter where in the code it is.
So it doesn't have to be under zoning chapter, fences does not have to be under zoning in order to go in front of the zoning board of appeals?
If it is in the zoning code, then it goes before the zoning board of appeals.
And wouldn't that be the best way for us to go?
And I think that's where we want to go.
Right, so we can take this chapter and just move it, just renumber it.
And then,
We'll make the changes, renumber it, put it in zoning.
okay, great, thank you.
Anything else on that? All right, so do a little more work there, Carla.
Not a problem.
Item 5, Recreation Department, a couple of requests from the rec leader. The first one is to, in regards to hiring lifeguards so that we can get the beach open this year. Has the rec committee been working to make sure that we're compliant with protocols, COVID-19 protocols, or do we have to take additional measures down there? Does anybody know?
I don't know, I mean, I'm not in the committee, but I was speaking with Peter about some applicants. I know he's aware of all of the requirements and doesn't feel as if we're not gonna be able to meet them. I think it's,
We're not going to be able to.
no, I think we're gonna be able to meet all the requirements, sorry. Yeah, so he didn't have any concern.
But the same position, he knows that in all the departments are we will move forward as long as we always meet the guidelines. I think to your point that we might want to just make sure we're aware of some of those and make sure that these applicants are aware in writing, so we understand. So we can circle back on that. But
And the only reason I asked that is that the state has directed the local courts to open up. I think it's May 25th.
Yep.
After our next, I think it's right before our next board meeting. However, they have strict requirements for monitoring. Someone has to be checking everybody in. You can't do a self-evaluation. The town's responsible for taking temperature, all that stuff, which is going to require more effort on the part of town staff. So, if those are the same protocols that are going to be required if we open up the beach this year, we have to be ready for it. So I just want to make sure we're ready to go, because we typically open, I think, Memorial Day, right, for the beach, which is just around the corner. So with that, we have a request for employees to staff the beach, and we have returning employees as senior lifeguards. We also have rehires of lifeguards, and we also have recommendation for the hire of 2 new individuals that have not worked for the town before. I don't know if anybody wants to talk about those, or just want me to read the resolution on that.
I don't actually know any of the new hires, so I can't talk about who they are.
I mean, specific to the individuals, I know a couple of the rehires. I do know that I've been involved in Peter's hiring process and interviewing and looked at the people he's boiled up. I'm comfortable with him as a department head in this particular topic with his recommendations.
Okay. So then we'll be looking for a resolution to hire as new employees Austin Peltier, $12.50 an hour, and Megan DePoy, same rate of pay, effective May 23rd, 2021. Also, returning lifeguards, there's a recommendation to rehire Lee Richard at $13 an hour and Riley Quinn Cahill at $13 an hour, as well as to rehire newly designated senior lifeguards for the town, Zachary Smatko at $14.50 per hour and Caleb Carrick at $14 per hour. I would just, in keeping with our hiring practices, I believe that the new hires would be subject to pre-employment physicals prior to starting, correct?
Correct. And they all know that they have to complete their certifications.
All right. What about the returning ones? Are they okay?
They're okay with certifications.
So that would have to be included in the resolution. If somebody would like to move that.
Motion to approve.
Second. Any discussion? I'm going to abstain on the resolution only because I think it's very important and actually critical that elected officials will be involved in the hiring process. And I know that with the new individuals, I don't want to hold up the hiring, but I was not involved in the interview. I want that for the record. So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with 1 abstention, the supervisor. So that's the first item for rec. Next item I have is in relation to the request to to purchase 9 rubber mats for disc golf tee pads. The town has received 3 prices. The first one is from Morley Athletic Supply Company in Amsterdam, New York, at $1,370.81 with shipping. The second vendor is Linear Rubber Products out of Coldwater, Ohio, which is $1,768.55 with shipping. And the third vendor is Rubber Flooring Incorporated out of Mesa, Arizona at $1,999.07 with shipping. The recommendation is to go with rubber mats from the Morley Athletic Supply Company of Amsterdam at a cost of $1,370.81, which includes shipping.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
That also was having those mats are being paid out of the grant mats to the stewards, and thank the stewards for their ongoing support.
Yeah, we've, I think we received 2 checks from them over the past 6 months. One in October of 2020 for about 1,000. I think the last one was 1,800 in March, not too long ago, as part of our holiday giving, which is awesome.
Yeah, big supporters.
The next item I have under rec is in relation to the purchase of a new freezer for the girls' softball quad concession stand. And there's a request that the town purchase this. We have not budgeted the money for this purchase. Historically, girls' softball purchased the last freezer that was down there. And that allowed them to exclude any other use of that freezer. However, if the town is going to purchase that, that's public property and anybody can have access to that. I don't know if anybody's had that conversation with girls softball. We did not budget monies for this unanticipated equipment purchase. The regulator is recommending that we utilize funding from the budget amount for the grills that we're going to put in at rec. I don't support that. My goal, and I think the board's goal has always been to expand our recreational opportunities. One of the ways we can do that is by adding new equipment down there. And my intent in supporting that in the budget was to have more areas in the park where you could grill.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
You don't support replacing the freezer that has become town property and our responsibility to maintain through our contract, or you don't support using that fund?
I don't support using that fund.
Give a recommendation on another
I
fund?
do not.
Okay. Was more of that till now.
Has anybody talked to girls softball?
Yeah,
See if
yeah.
they'd be willing to do it or not?
Well, it's a little bit of a slippery slope because back in 2016, I believe, we started to have a discussion about our desire to move away from in-kind trade.
Right.
It's just a messy thing. And then we built into the contracts verbiage that said that if we did take something in in-kind trade, they would become property of the town in Rome. And I think that if we're going to take ownership of them, which we did in the last, this hardware that's there, we also start to take on some responsibility. And up to this point, we've been allowed to rent that concession stand over the last 2 years and let other entities use it. So they already know there's no exclusive. they said they'd be willing, there was some discussion that they'd be willing to pay for it, but then they're gonna want exclusive rights, but we have a position that it's gonna become town property, so I guess we need to know which way the town wants it, because you really can't advocate you need it too.
Well, my only concern is, you know, I don't want to see a sign on a town purchase freezer that says gross softball use only.
Yeah, no,
I have a major problem with that.
Absolutely, I believe we've addressed it in the contract, but that can certainly be addressed more formally if it hasn't. There's absolutely no position that the current rec committee is taking that it would be exclusive use. We're very clear.
Okay.
If we're gonna take on ownership, which then puts us in a position of it's ours to maintain, maybe not necessarily means it's ours to replace, that's the decision we make, I get that. Then it's gotta be available to anybody that we let rent that concession stand, because we're looking to generate revenue on it.
Right. So did someone have that conversation?
Yeah.
And they're not gonna put a sign up on it that says,
They know, we didn't discuss a sign, because I don't know if there's that issue today. What the discussion was that if we own it, it's available, it's not their exclusive use.
okay.
So, if you want.
So the question is, where do we fund this then, I guess?
Yeah, we went back and told the supervisor to, or department head to give us a recommendation on where to fund it. It wasn't budgeted until we needed to find it, and that's what's presented. Didn't give him additional instruction to not take it out of a particular fund that he recommended.
Well, I think my opinion is that, as we're expanding the park, you know, part of that expansion includes providing greater access to growing down there. I don't want something that is a maintenance item in my mind to come out of something that was discussed to be part of our growth down there, that's all. So I don't know, is there other recommendation elsewhere?
Yeah, I don't have the budget with me to find another fund, but we can do that.
Alan, has Peter mentioned having someone come to look at it to see why it broke down and just repair it? Is that not an option?
I don't know who he called. It's my understanding that we've reached out to some repair people, and it was recommended that it would cost more to repair it than to replace it.
I mean, I know I've been down there for some of the big softball tournament weekends. And I don't know what few I've seen, they call Food by George truck. And they run frozen food in and out of that truck all weekend. So, I mean, if there's something big coming up this weekend, you know, they might not be out of luck, but there's other options if you're not able to purchase for this weekend.
Oh, we take donations online for, right?
I have no problem going and finding another place to recommend that we pull it from.
Is this something that has to happen tonight or no?
Nothing has to happen, right? It's a board decision. Obviously, softball's starting up, and
When did they start their first sales?
So he's in the last page of his email, he says the third to last sentence, the goal is to get the concession stand fully open by next week, and this one out Thursday. No, this one out May 3rd.
the other consideration of it says a sense of urgency. I don't think there's any surprise. Everybody's fully aware of the shortage and high demand, the shortage of any kind of appliances and difficulty getting them. So we were looking at websites where they were available through the vendors. Some, as you can see, have extended delivery time. Everybody who's watched the news knows getting an appliance is a little bit tough. So there was the additional delay, and that was the desire to get it in tonight's meeting. But again, go back and find another fund.
So-
with the elections.
Yeah, so I'm looking at, for playgrounds, we have, for under equipment, we appropriated 8,400. And we have adjusted amount of 12,000 because we did a $3,700 increase from the original budget. So it appears that we have an unencumbered balance of $8,100 remaining as of May 6th. You know, but there's a one.
What account number is that?
And that is account number A7140.2 for playgrounds and recreation center.
So that's what he has, that's the account number that he's,
Yeah, we're pulling from that, but he was specifically allocating or explaining that that is the account that we're using.
Oh, I understand that,
Yeah,
but
so
I think
we
it's the
can-
intent of the regulator to eliminate
Yeah.
the purchase. I'm not supportive.
Yeah, so there's other things, I just don't know what they all were that we had in that 2020, so there's something else we can consider eliminating in that equipment fund that the A7140.2, that's not the grills, and I just don't know what those items are, Supervisor. I don't remember what we had.
So, I'm okay with, you know, a resolution or an understanding that we expend the money from that account, predicated on the fact that it will not be drawn away from the installation of the grills on there.
I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with that.
And I don't know what else is, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the problem, I just don't know what else without talking to you, Jeffrey, as to what else we would pull from, but we can make sure it's not grills.
Okay, so is that a motion?
Just to clarify it, present a motion authorizing the purchase of the 17 cubic foot freezer, upright freezer for the softball quad concession stand from Lowe's at the amount of $769 to come out of A7140.2 current balance as of 4/30, I'll go with what's documented here, of 8101.46, and additional note that it will not be at the expense of the grills that are budgeted for 2021.
Second.
Any discussion?
Do you want to include in that it's therefore town property and it's not the exclusive use of any group, including softball,
If it belongs in that resolution, absolutely.
just so it's out there?
Amend that resolution to include verbiage that states that that will become town property and it will not have any exclusive use by any one entity.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Let's see. Anybody have, I don't think there was anything else on the record.
I do not.
Next item we have, or I have listed, is Nextam, and they graciously offered to provide the town board with a brief synopsis of their proposal at the industrial park. There are components of that proposal that they're looking for town board consideration of, and I will open that up to, I think we have Michael Boucher.
Yeah, I have to change them over to co-host, I think they have a
Yeah.
presentation share.
So we'll be right with you, Michael.
Yeah, he's got a, sure.
Can you turn that around for us? Just like-
Yes, I can do that in 1 second.
Oh, we got on wheels.
Well, I'll just turn the screen, I'll turn the camera facing that way if I do it the wrong way.
Please spin the thing.
Well, the
And
camera.
the camera,
Oh, gotcha. It's hiked up. I need binoculars, I feel like I'm in the cheap seats.
hold on.
Where did Jim? Jeffrey Sturrow, that's the only way tripping.
Okay, All right. Look, give me 1 second here, Michael, and you're good to go. Okay, can you hear us, Michael?
Yes, I can. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, and Liza, are you also present?
Yes, I am. I can hear you.
Okay.
Great. Thank you very much for both joining us this evening, and appreciate your willingness to give a brief synopsis to the town board. I know there's been emails exchanged between my office and you folks, as well as you've already been before the planning board. They have some questions as well. And I thought it would be helpful to just give a brief overview for the town board members before we get into some of the issues that you're hoping to have addressed this evening.
Sounds good. And thank you, Supervisor and Town Board. We actually have a short presentation, so I could start there. But quickly, you are correct. I think the two topics we wanted to hit on tonight was first the easement that we're seeking for our Baker Falls Solar Project, which is located in the Moreau Industrial Park on Moreau Industrial Partners land. In this easement, we would need an easement through town parcels, particularly, I believe it is lot, Liza, can you correct me? Is it 17? Or
It's lot 16 along the southern side of lot 16.
okay. Yeah, let me just start my slideshow here. So I'd like to start there if that's okay, just because that to us is a little bit more of a priority at this exact moment, because we are seeking to continue on some good progress I think we've had with the planning board in order for us to sort of complete and seek approvals in the coming meetings. We're going to need to have a survey done and an archaeological study as well done on that part of the easement, including the parcel that we're developing on. And then I'd like Liza to take you all through our solar land lease proposal. We have sort of a potential sister project, if you will, on the other side of the industrial park, which is owned by the town. And if we have time, I would love to get into that a little bit as well and answer any questions. Just quickly, Nexamp, we are a company, we've been in business since 2008. So, 14 years or so, or just about. And, we started as a startup in Boston doing commercial, small scale solar, and over the years have really grown into a nationwide leader in particularly community solar, over 300 megawatts that we have constructed, owned and operating. We have over 50 megawatts operating in New York State right now, with an additional 150 somewhere either in construction or development at this point. We are a parent since that time of our startup years. We are an affiliate of Mitsubishi Corporation and Diamond Generating Corporation, which is their United States independent power producing arm. And we sort of got engaged with them because they were looking for a really serious partner to develop renewable energy projects in the United States. Right now we're developing projects in over 11 states, and that continues to grow. So that's just a little bit about who we are and what we've been doing. Baker's Falls Solar is the, I don't know why I have captions on here. I'm gonna take those off. Baker's Falls Solar is what we presented to the planning board just a few weeks ago. It is a 2.5 megawatt AC project or approximately 3 megawatt DC project. And because of sort of design efficiencies in locating the roadway where it is, as well as being closer to the interconnection point on National Grid's distribution line that runs down Farnham Road, we discovered that really the best way to get out of our project and interconnect, these are the panels that, if you could see my cursor up here, and then this road would cross a National Grid easement right away, transmission lines, and then come down to Farnham Road. And this would be along that lot 15. And the road itself would be approximately 15 to 20 feet wide. It would be a non-exclusive easement. Typically create gravel roads that after construction are really only used maybe 2 to 3 times a year in order to do typical maintenance on the site. Mowing of the vegetation inside, checking panels, inverters, etc. What I would like to point your attention to as part of this easement, we have it so structured that we'd like it to, hug the southern parcel, the southern line of lot 16, and be as minimal impact to the lot and future development plans there as possible. All we would be looking for is the right to build it, construct it, and maintain it throughout the life. And obviously in construction, it'll be the most active. After that, really it's going to be pretty minimal use. I will point out at the very end where Farnan Road comes in, there would be utility poles there, between 3 to 5 utility poles that will make that interconnection point with the grid. I have not shared with the town attorney, our typical easement agreement, but I could definitely push that forward should the town board be open to negotiating such an easement on this property. And yeah, I'd be happy to discuss any questions and or concerns about the proposed area.
Thank you for that, Michael. The first question I would have is, are there any other options available to you other than this proposed easement?
Yeah, I mean, we have some other options going through some of the Moreau Industrial Park lands. It just puts us a little bit further down the line and sort of would make it a little bit more costly for us to do that. I think also there was, in our original design, we were, as I mentioned at the start, we do need to continue and do a more expanded archaeological survey. I think we were going to come, the original plan site was going to abut sort of an area that had already been flagged, so we wanted to avoid that. So potentially there is, but this would be the most optimal from our point of view. I think as far as town-owned lands, I believe, Liza, the remaining lots that you identified are all town lots as well?
Yes, the lots in red there, lot 15, 16, 17, and 18 are all owned by the town of Moreau. And part of the reason why we thought that was the best location, the most advantageous location for the town also, is that we need to be somewhat centered between the transmission line poles in the Niagara Mohawk land area. So that was the most advantageous area that we found for the town, so that we weren't splitting a lot right down the center for future land use.
Thank you for that, Liza. I have had conversations with the town attorney on that. One of the questions that arose, isn't it unusual for the town councilor to convey an easement on town property?
In the town of Moreau, you don't usually do that, and you couldn't convey it, like you couldn't donate it to them, you couldn't do it as a gift. There would have to be some sort of consideration for this. But it is not something that Moreau has done in the past, generally speaking.
As far as the conveyance, we did include, I think, in our original correspondence, a $5,000 upfront fee, one-time payment for that consideration. It sort of runs our typical payment when we have to cross lands of others. I don't know if that would be acceptable as to make it work with the town.
Yeah, this is the first time we're hearing that offer, so I wouldn't expect them to make a decision this evening on it. One of the challenges for the town is, to be quite candid, You know, the park was built with funding from the general fund to the tune of over $1 million. And one of the reasons that the town board at that time, I wasn't a member of it, none of us were, and expending general funds for that purpose was for job creation, to have a shovel-ready site that would provide a portion of the town that is ready for a business to come in, that brings jobs with it. And I'm not sure how well it will be received by the general public. If we're, you know, you're certainly within your rights per our zoning to be able to establish a solar generating facility within the industrial park. But, you know, we have to take into consideration what the initial intent was for building the park in all of our decisions. So that's something that the board will have to take into consideration. I just wanted to make you aware of that.
Yeah, understood. And that was raised by the planning board with respect to where the project is actually sited. I think the general consensus, or I don't know if it was consensus, but comments from the planning board, I think the reason why we selected some of these outer lots where these were, especially where the project is sited, was sort of the least impactful or not as prime locations within the lot. And so therefore potentially a good use for long-term revenue to, you know, stakeholders in the park. We would think, I think the yellow line seems rather large maybe for the lot size. We would contend or make the argument for your consideration that, you know, this would not necessarily impede any of your development opportunities there. It certainly could be complementary and be shared use with any future tenant and hopefully not impact that at all. But those would be my arguments to the town board, and obviously with respect to your comments back when the time's right.
Right. Would you be, I think it'd be very important if the town board members had an opportunity to walk the location where you want to do that physically, either with you or, you know, we could certainly do it on our own, but I think it would be beneficial to have you folks be a part of that, just to you know, point out, maybe give more background as to where the array is going to stretch across, you know, that back parcel. Is that something you'd be amenable to?
Certainly. In fact, yeah, we would welcome that. I think if the town would, you know, at least grant us permission to have surveyors get out on the site, we could at least even flag sort of the entry point off of Farnan Road, just with simple flags out there, just so you can kind of visualize the width that we have planned and where it would track. It's something we're working with a local civil engineering company, EDP, who I know the town is very familiar with. We could have them set that up in the coming week, and would be happy to meet you and others on the town board out there to walk through the site.
I like that idea.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's a consensus with the board. They'd like to do that, you know, permit the flagging, the stake out to take place, and then we can have a visual of where it's going to be. And I think you indicated, just to be clear, is it 15 feet wide or 20 or long or wider than 15 feet wide?
So we would, I believe we're proposing 15 feet. I think we have the up to 20 feet depending on fire marshal input or fire chief input as far as the width of the road that's required. So 20 feet would be at the max.
That's of the road itself. If they want the right of way longer, like that's the travel portion, right? Travel portion would be 15 to 20 feet, and then you would need additional beyond that depending on what highway says and what fire says.
Yeah, I think we might need a little bit bumped out at the very entrance as far as easement area, so that it would allow for a truck by National Grid to service and access their poles, as well as I think it can narrow as it gets closer to the solar project itself and can remain that way. We wouldn't need much buffer there, but we would need a little bit extended buffer right at Farnan Road, just to allow for them to actually just kind of park a truck on the side and access the poles that would run right along the side of the road.
You need National Grid to extend an easement as well, right, Michael?
Yeah, so eventually National Grid would seek a much smaller easement for just the length of where the poles will be located. Let me just go back to this. Oh, I don't know if the poles are here. It's not very blown up, but I could send you an actual copy that you could look at. But there would be approximately 4 to 5 poles that would run alongside that lot, probably going back maybe 150 feet. And so it would be approximately 150 foot in depth, and then they'd have a similar width so that they could access their poles that has their equipment. The poles are mixed. There are 2 poles that are ours and 2 or 3 poles that the utility requires.
No, I meant to extend the right of way. It's gonna be the one over lot 16, and then you have to extend it further through the National Grid property right now, right?
Oh, correct. And that's something we are ready to start once we can sort of determine, how we get out of that after that. There's a whole process with National Grid that we'd have to work through to get fully across. That is correct.
And is there also, one of the things that you wanted the board to allow, you talked about the flagging, is that because there might be a SHPO issue there or no?
The entire area, although I think had performed archaeological studies a while ago, back in the 90s when the park was created, hopefully I'm getting the dates right, they had done it, but they required us to do it again. And we already have performed a phase 1A and phase 1B inside of the array area on the outer parcel. However, in between the time we completed that and as we are nearing sort of seeker, which is ongoing, the rules have changed. So we used to only have to do the phase 1B archaeological digging sites only where we were trenching or building roads or electrical pads, not where the arrays were or the panels and the racking. Now they're requiring it to be the extent. So we have to go back and complete that in the interior. And then since there has been an adjustment or a new proposed easement, we would have to include that as well. We don't know that there's no indication there would be anything, but it just sort of falls under their scope of work there.
So would you be requesting the town board to give you access to do that now? It's my understanding you have a surveyor out there or ready to go in the next day or two. Either are you guys out there already?
We initially, we were going to request that, but I think we may have to hold them off until we know that this could be agreeable to the town. I wouldn't want to have them do that and then have to redo it at a different access point should we have to find another one. So as far as just flagging it, I think we could have our civil engineer get out there and just give us a couple flags to show the entrance point and mark a few as it goes towards the right of way, just for visual purposes. That I would like to do. As far as the archaeological study, I'm going to have them access the site through the Moreau Industrial Park lands and do the fuller study on that property where we have rights to do it at this point. I wouldn't have them do it at the easement until we know we have a path forward.
Great, thanks, Michael. Did I hear you correctly say that there is another option, but it still involves town-owned parcels? Or was it non-town-owned parcels and it was just more expensive for you to do it?
Yeah, no, it would be, the other option would be on Monroe Industrial Park. It was just going to be a little bit more expensive and potentially more sensitive area. So that's why we, to talk with the town to see if if it would be something you would be open to. But, you know, I think the reason why I brought up alternate town-owned lots is that, you know, if there was a different path, or if it was better to be on the side of lot 15 and 18 for whatever reason, or on the north side of 16 on the right side of that, you know, we could be open to a certain extent, but to Liza's point earlier, that particular location lines up really nicely where we are the right distance away from the transmission towers that are inside of that right of way. So although we could look for other opportunities, this area right here presented a really good straight shot through those towers where we would be the right distance away that they require.
So there's also a financial incentive to go this route.
Yep, financial and technical.
Do we need a resolution to authorize them to flag?
Yeah.
So with the right of way, what would the roadway consist of? Are we talking gravel or stone?
Yep, just a gravel road.
Okay. And with that right of way, would you entertain the possibility of other users being able to access it on the same, using the same easement?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, I think getting eyes on it is gonna be helpful.
Okay. All right, so I guess you've got the green light to go ahead and flag it. And we can, do the board members want to go out independently, or do you want to meet with representatives of Nexamp?
Depending on their availability, I guess, it determines if I could meet with anybody, so.
Well, you've got everybody, I think you've got everybody's email. If not, you can get the information to me and I'll share it. I already have it for board members, and I'll give them the option of either setting up in-person viewing out there with you folks, or, you know, if they prefer to do it on their own, they're welcome to do that as well.
That sounds terrific. I will we'll communicate with our civil and ask them the earliest they can get out there and flag it. And once I know that date, then we could look for times that work for all of us. We'd certainly like to be there and speak in person, answer any questions. So we'll attempt that and give you some date it'll be done, and you can tell when it works, and we'll get out there to meet you.
Okay, great. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll remove you so that you don't end the call for everybody.
They have one other topic, so.
Oh, they do, okay.
Yeah, do you mind if we take an additional just 5 minutes to run through this?
No, go ahead.
Okay, great. Liza, I'll let you start since you'd be working on this project more directly. So this is the solar land lease proposal for another lot on the industrial park. I'll let Liza take it away.
Yes, so this would be a sister project to the other one further down Farnham Road. You can see that it is located off of Farnham Road as well. This one is 2.5 megawatt AC, and it has single access tracker system. So unlike many solar panels, which are situated east-west, these are situated north-south, and the panel itself rotates to attract the sun. The max height is a little under 18 feet. So on this project, we have SMA central inverter, and right now we have proposed the JA385W modules, but we'll likely upgrade these to the newer modules, which is advantageous for the town as well. So the project is located within Monroe Industrial Park area on Town of Monroe property with interconnection off of Farnham Road. So the parcel itself is about 17 acres and is set back off of Farnham Road as well, similar to the other project, so as to allow for future development right off of Farnham Road. And it is within the M1 district as well, and therefore solar projects like this is a zoned use and therefore requires a site plan review by the planning board. And the access, like I said, is off of Farnham Road as well. And the access starts off like the other project with a 20-foot wide road as National Grid requires through the National Grid utility poles, and then continues through with a 15-foot width. As you can see, the road continues back, and there's the solar array with the single axis trackers. There's a centrally located equipment pad with the inverter, and then the perimeter fence surrounding the project, which is about, I believe on there, the font is pretty small, but I believe it's about 12 acres within the fence, and we use a farm fence so as to be aesthetically pleasing. So then the proposal that we have for the town, Mike, if you could switch to the next slide. Yeah, so this is a typical lease offer from Nexamp. The option phase is 180 days, and that would be a $1,000 initial lump sum payment. And during that time, Nexamp will perform due diligence on the site and figure out the interconnection and everything like that. But based on our knowledge of the area with the other property and the other project, we think we could secure something good to proceed with the project in the next few months. And then after that, the development and constructions phase, which is typical 365 days with a 12-month possible extension. And during that time, Nexamp would perform development tests and pursue project permitting and interconnection during development and construction. And then we move into the operation phase, which is 25-year initial term with option to extend to 40 years. And that would be a $5,000 per megawatt DC rent payment or lease payment to the town with a 1.5% escalator. So based on how the project is currently designed, the year one revenue would be $15,000. So that plus other benefits is what we are proposing to the town. Then Mike, the next slide, I believe, says.
I could jump in real quick and just to lease offer. This lease offer, without getting into details, and we could discuss later, does closely mirror the lease offer that we provided to Moreau Industrial Park. And so, I think there would obviously be some natural comparisons, but these projects truly are sort of sister projects, if you will, very similar size. And as Liza was discussing, we believe that the interconnection can be very competitive in a good way, meaning allowing for this project to be viable long-term. In addition to what we think would be a benefit to the town is annual lease revenue for the 25-year term and beyond if it was allowed and to be extended. The purpose of these projects, typically we've done community solar projects, and right now we're in this kind of weird zone where the incentives for community solar have dwindled. But a new type of program has emerged called remote crediting. And what that means is larger off-takers, creditworthy entities can take discounted energy credits from our projects to lower their electric costs. So not only do we believe that the town could benefit from the lease revenue, but we'd also be willing to discuss an energy credit agreement, which would provide discounted energy credits on accounts for their utility for their electric costs, lowering them. These discounts are between 10 to 12% discount dollar per dollar for the energy credits we put on your bills. We actually are doing one other similar project to this down in the town of Marlborough in Ulster County, where we have a lease with the town and a energy and credit discounted energy credit sale agreement as well to do the same thing. And then quickly just wanted to mention, Nexamp from its community solar projects has also been providing these types of discounted energy credits to local hospitals, in this case, Saratoga Hospital, as well as Albany Medical Center, who just came on board and are taking credits from other existing and yet to be connected projects through the National Grid territory. So we hope that combined, both the energy credit savings that we could provide and the lease revenue would be something interesting to the town. We certainly think we have a viable project here, and look forward to thank you for the chance to present, and hopefully we can continue discussing this down the line.
Great, definitely. I do, before we move on, I do have one additional question based on the numbers that you just went over. How do those, in the benefit to the town, how do those numbers, the revenue numbers, compare to projects where you actually, it's on privately owned land where, there can be, I think there's pilot agreements in place in lieu of taxes. How do those numbers compare on those types of projects versus this one where the town retains ownership of the land?
Right. Are we talking about the lease revenue or the?
Yeah. No. The monthly revenue.
Yeah. No, the monthly revenue. At 5,000 a megawatt, I think is very competitive at this point. New York, the way a lot of these projects have been financed and supported through New York State has been through something called the New York Sun program, and that was set up as a declining block incentive program, meaning they had the amount of projects as you went through the program, the amount of incentive provided decreased. We're sort of at the end of this program. So although you may look at other towns or other situations where you might find higher lease rates or in different utilities, if you're in Orange and Rockland utility or Central Hudson, you may see a bit higher revenue, but that is because their electricity prices that the project receives are higher. For National Grid, though, this is I believe, especially at this time, a market or a slightly above market rate. So this is a typical rate for this area.
Okay, great, thank you. Any other questions? No. All righty, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity, and we look forward to seeing you out in the field, hopefully in the next week or so.
Thank you. So I'll remove use just in case, so it doesn't get X'd out for everybody.
Well, is the planning board getting their answers that they had?
Are they getting their what?
The answers to their questions they had?
Some
Are they
of them are, and some of the questions are being answered. I was actually talking to Travis about that earlier today.
All right, thank you for that. We all set? Okay, continuing on this evening, we have item 7 on the agenda, which is a court request. And I believe all the board members have a copy. Justices are looking for permission to have the 4 court clerks attend the annual magistrates court clerks annual fall conference from Sunday, September 12th through Wednesday, September 15th, 2021 at the Desmond Hotel in Albany. They're asking that Chief Court Clerk Jennifer Miller, Court Clerk Jamie Hickey, Court Clerk Ed Scalo, and Court Clerk Ron Delisle attend. And the new thing is, well, they have attended this training in the past, it is now mandated by New York State. So it's another unfunded mandate passed on to the localities. So with that request, I have a request to expend $2,419.29, and this would come from account A 1110.4, which has a balance of $13,297.96 as of April 30th.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? I would just add, this request includes the mileage, the registration, the commuter package, and attendance, which is hotel meals. Any other discussion?
No.
All
Glad
in
they're
favor?
going.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, glad they're willing.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 8 on the agenda is 61 Hudson Street, which is the former town hall. I believe the clerk, as well as board members, have a copy of the draft resolution that has been together by the town attorney, as well as a seeker requirement that goes along with that. Which do we take up first?
Well, you're not gonna complete secret right now, it's
Okay.
just to advise that you're in with the lead agency, this is your part one. What this is it's a resolution allowing you to transfer the property at 61 Hudson Street, since the town property is subject to a permissive referendum. So, this is just a resolution for the permissive referendum contract. Once the 30 days is up, then you'll come back, you'll finish up seeker, and you can, if all goes well, the contract goes together. So you don't need to do anything on secret, it's just for you to do.
So we don't have to declare lead agency?
You have to declare the agency, but it's already.
Okay, so then we just have to adopt the resolution.
Correct.
And you have a copy of that thing? Would you like to read the resolution?
Resolution Town Board, Town of Monroe, subject authorizing transfer of surplus property to the Valley LLC, subject to permissive referendum. Whereas the town is the owner of 59 to 61 Hudson Street, South Glens Falls, New York, tax map number 37.54-2-53. And whereas by resolution dated November 12, 2013, the town board declared the property as surplus property. And whereas Emily LLC has offered to purchase the property for $159,000, now therefore be resolved that the town board of the town of Monroe in regular session duly convened does hereby accept the offer of Emily LLC in the amount of $159,000 as the purchase price of the property. And be it further resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the attorney for the town to prepare any and all documents necessary to complete the conveyance of the property. And be it further resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the supervisor to execute a contract for sale of the property and any and all documents necessary to complete the conveyance. And be it further resolved that the town board hereby declares itself lead agency for this unlisted action. And be it further resolved that this resolution is subject to a permissive referendum as permitted by law.
Thank you very much, Leanne. Would someone like to move that resolution for adoption?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing, I'm sorry.
No, sir.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And so now, do we have to do anything with the public notice?
No, that's for Leanne.
Okay, all right. So we're all set on that?
You're all set.
All right, that's very good news. That will assist us in expanding our recreation holdings, hopefully, in the near future. Item 9 is the community development block grant program. I just need authorization via a resolution that permits the town supervisor to be the certifying officer for the program. And we do have a draft resolution. Do you have a copy of that as well?
I do.
And would you like to read that in the record?
Sure. Town of Monroe resolution to designate certifying officer, whereas the town of Monroe has applied for funds and anticipates funds to be awarded through the Community Development Block Grant from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development as administered by the state of New York for the wastewater collection system improvements project, CFA number 104756. And whereas the town board of trustees here and after town board as the anticipated recipient of the grant award is required to designate a certifying officer for the purpose of signing required documents pertaining to this grant. And now therefore be it resolved that the town board does hereby designate the town supervisor as the town certifying officer for the purpose of signing required documents pertaining to this anticipated grant. And now therefore be it further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately. Approved as to form this 11th day of May 2021.
Thank you. Somebody like to move that?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? Second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Have any personal liability in being the officer for that?
Oh, you're all signed up now.
I'll have the deputy supervisor sign. All right, so there's that. Item 10, water department requests. We've got a few items here. First one I have is a request from the water superintendent to purchase 21.5-inch radio read water meters, as well as 21 flange connecting kits, and 3 1-inch radio read meters. This is a sole source vendor. It's Ferguson Waterworks in Clifton Park. The cost of that purchase is $13,397.79. And this would be purchased from water account water 28310.4, which has a current balance of $120,993.34 as of March 31st. And the purpose of these is to go into the Lean Ellie project. And so the contractor will be paying for all these once the order comes in. So, which is good. You know, it's a little unusual that the town of Monroe does it this way. Most municipalities, it's part of their permitting process where you pay when you get the permit. Therefore, the water districts never have to front the money, but we're in the process going through our consolidation, looking at our current rules and regulations, and I think that'll be addressed further down the road. But for this project, you know, this is the way the town has done it in the past. So, you know, I suggest moving forward with it.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item is we had to do some directional boring where we utilize the services of R&J Kerr Incorporated, Kansas, New York. And we need to authorize the work to be done by the contractor. Actually, the work has already been done by the contractor. I'm not sure why there wasn't prior approval, but we can discuss that at a later date. And anyway, the cost has been incurred in the amount of $10,580 for that service. And so, the majority of that cost will be borne by the property owners. Actually, it's, of that cost, $8,600 is being paid for by the property owners. The amount not covered is $1,980, which is why we need to look at our policies and our costs that we charge, which I think we adopted a new schedule. We're about to adopt a new schedule on that schedule for fees. Can't remember.
I believe that's been adopted.
We adopted it. So hopefully we don't have that situation again where the water district has to pick up the additional costs moving forward. So I'd be looking for authorization to pay the voucher submitted by R.J. Kerr in the amount of $10,580.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Let's see. Next item, we have also in the water department that has been reviewed. We have a draft resolution in relation to policies and procedures for the town in relation to water districts. And do you have a copy of that resolution?
I have a resolution that was put on my desk, it has to do with consolidated water districts.
So yeah, it would be the resolution authorizing special district council to create the town of Monroe consolidated, oh, that's the wrong one,
It's just the wrong title.
wrong title.
I
But
think
the same content?
Yes, this is the right one, it's
What is the title on
the
there?
title should say, Town of Monroe Resolution authorizing special district council to create policies and procedures for water districts.
There we go. I'm glad somebody's got the most clear. Does the board have that one or? I don't, looks like this.
Let me see. No.
So I don't know, there was a red line copy that came out and it was cleaned up by our special counsel. I think it was you.
No, go ahead.
Special counsel on that. I can share it with the board if you have a copy of it.
That's,
Joe, you're gonna make copies of this?
Yeah, would you do that, please? We'll stand at ease until that happens. I didn't realize the board didn't have a copy of it. So anyway, you can take a look at it. This is,
Email it for any of you who actually are on devices. I just email the resolution.
okay. Got it.
That should be in your budget.
Was that?
Okay, that's already.
You know, so we are updating our IT accounting and to go. We're gonna have all that at each supervisor's desk. It's like a priority for me. There's gonna be, there'll be monitors so that everybody can see what's being broadcast via YouTube or whatever, Facebook into the homes or wherever you're watching. The video and the audio will be top shelf. The chairman of the board will have the authority to allow people to speak or to cut them off.
We're still on.
The Lakewood Park Commission does that, all the commissioners, everything is loaded onto the.
Yeah, well, it's just, I think it's more efficient, so we'll see. Thank you.
remarks.
Perfect. Thanks for doing that, Leanne. So when you have a moment, I think we'll ask you to read it so we can get it out for discussion. How's that?
Sure. Town of Monroe, resolution authorizing special district council to create policies and procedures for water districts. Whereas the town board is desirous of creating a policy to address increased development within the town. And whereas prior to the drafting of the aforesaid policy, the town board wants to commit that certain procedures be followed with respect to development. And now therefore it is resolved that, number one, any new independent water districts within the town are prohibited. Any new special district or district extension, either municipally or developer initiated, shall become part of the consolidated water district to be created as soon as practicable. Number two, the installation of multiple water meters on multifamily and commercial properties is prohibited. A master meter shall be installed on the service or main supplying water to multifamily and commercial properties. Number three, the use of ductile iron pipe and fittings for any water main operated and maintained by the water district shall be standardized or will be installed within public right-of-ways. Number four, developers shall be required to purchase reserve capacity as needed for their project's projected flows plus a 50% peaking factor. Residential projects shall estimate flows based on 110 gallons per day per proposed bedroom. Commercial projects shall estimate flows based on industry standards. Number five, the payment of capacity and expansion fees is required upon planning board approval of a project or the issuance of a building permit, whichever comes first. Number six, vacant real property within the consolidated water district to be created shall contribute towards the debt service with the debt contribution based on the number of equivalent dwelling units assigned to the type of real property. Number seven, large development projects located within 0.5 miles of existing municipal water and or sewer infrastructure shall be required to connect to these utilities with the town board reserving the right to waive this requirement for small projects. Number eight, the town board will pursue revisions of the Town of Monroe Town Code, Chapter 145, entitled Water as needed to provide a fair and predictable policy for future development projects. Number nine, the town board will use a portion of the capacity and expansion fees collected to purchase additional reserve capacity from the town of Queensbury and to study the feasibility of a new water supply source.
Thank you very much, Leanne. And you know, this has been, in my opinion, I've been on the board, it's my 20th year. This has been something that has been sorely needed. This will organize, if you will, all of our procedures. It'll be beneficial to the developers coming into our community. They'll know exactly what to expect, what's required of them. It won't be piecemeal like it has been for several decades now. And it's the right thing to do on behalf of our water district users to make sure that we have fair, uniform policies that everybody is complying with. So I want to thank our special counsel for putting this together and setting us up to move forward with the consolidation of our water districts, which is something that will be very well received, I think, certainly by those that have to manage the water districts. So with that, would somebody like to move adoption of the resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. I think that's all we have for water for this evening, correct? I hope. Getting there. Next item agenda is Sewer District 1 Extension 5, and specifically it's in relation to another resolution And this relates to, as the board is aware, there's a force main pump station that has to be located along Route 9, and we have a property owner that has worked very well with the town and offered to allow the town to use his property for construction of that pump. And obviously that requires some legal affirmations and protections for all parties involved. And so the council has put together a draft resolution for the town board authorizing the supervisor to sign a lease for the Route 9 sewer project with the property owner. So do you have a copy of that resolution, Leanne?
Yes.
Yeah, why is there no one? Yes. You want to do a different one? It doesn't matter.
I'm trying to follow your train of thought.
I have no train of thought. The train left the station and it's
I just want to
probably.
make sure with council that this is correct, right? Because this one is.
Yes,
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 okay.
that's fine, yeah. But that's not what he's doing right now.
That is not the one.
We can do that once if you want. Doesn't matter.
Are you doing the agreement
Yes.
for the use of the buildings for the field office? Or are you doing the donation of land for the sewer pump station?
The one that I have is for the field office.
Okay, the field office.
Okay, I thought it said force main. for the
I
pump
did.
station.
So but we'll do the one for the office first.
Okay.
And then we'll do the one for the force.
So what happens when there's so much going around in the town?
You have no idea how many resolutions.
It's all good,
flying
it's good
around.
things.
I don't know, does any other town have to like do some resolutions and have to give them?
Okay.
Floor is yours, Leanne.
Resolution, town board, town of Monroe, subject to authorizing supervisor's signature for lease for Route 9 sewer project. Whereas the town board of the town of Monroe is presently engaged in a sewer infrastructure installation project known as the Route 9 sewer project. And whereas, as a portion of the Route 9 sewer project, it is necessary for the contractors to have a location on Route 9 to use as a field office and storage area for equipment and vehicles during the pendency of the project. And whereas Hillman Properties, Inc. has agreed to enter into an agreement with the town for a portion of its buildings and property located on Route 9 to be used by the town and its contractors and consultants for a field office and storage area for equipment and vehicles. And whereas the town board is legally authorized to accept this temporary donation of buildings and property pursuant to town law 64-8 as it will be used by the town for a public purpose. And whereas by resolution dated June 26, 2018, the town board issued a negative declaration under the State Environmental Quality Review Act for the Route 9 sewer project, which project included a field office and storage area for equipment and vehicles. And whereas as the field office and storage area for equipment and vehicles was contemplated within the entire project by the town board and its deliberations under seeker, this acquisition of land falls within the original negative declaration issued on June 26, 2018. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the supervisor of the town of Monroe to enter into an agreement with Hillman Properties, Inc. for the use of buildings and land on its property located on Route 9 in the town of Monroe for the use by the town's contractors and consultants as a field office and storage area of equipment and vehicles during the pendency of the Route 9 sewer project. And be it further resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the attorney for the town and the LaBerge Group project engineer to prepare any and all documents necessary to effectuate this agreement. And be it further resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the supervisor to sign any and all documents necessary for this agreement.
Thank you, Leanne. So to be clear, this is a resolution for basically location of the field office.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And then the next one. Authorizing, same property owner authorizing acceptance of a donation of land. And think board members should have a copy of the map showing the location of the land to be donated, description of the land to be donated, and the zoning administrator's determination regarding the subdivision governmental use. And the clerk has a copy of that. Would you like to read that?
Sure. Resolution Town Board, Town of Monroe, subject to authorizing acceptance of donation of land, whereas the Town Board of the Town of Monroe is presently engaged in a sewer infrastructure installation project known as the Route 9 Sewer Project. And whereas as a portion of the Route 9 Sewer Project, it is necessary for the town to obtain land for the purpose of a sewer pump station at Route 9. And whereas Lumen Properties Inc. has agreed to donate a portion of tax net parcel 77.4-2, which is 1340 to 1406 State Route 9 for the sewer pump station. And whereas the town board has determined that the property is suitable for this purpose, and whereas pursuant to Town Law 64-8, the town board of the town of Monroe is authorized to acquire by gift lands within the town for a public purpose. And whereas by resolution dated June 26, 2018, the town board issued a negative declaration under the State Environmental Quality Review Act for the for the Route 9 Sewer Project, which project included the design and installation of a sewer pump station. And whereas as the sewer pump station was included in the design of the Route 9 Sewer Project and therefore contemplated within the entire project by the town board in its deliberations under seeker, this acquisition of land falls within the original negative declaration issued on June 26, 2018. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the supervisor of the town of Monroe to accept the property for use in the Route 9 Sewer Project as a sewer pump station. And be it further resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the attorney for the town and the LaBerge Group project engineer to prepare any and all documents necessary to effectuate this donation. And be it further resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the supervisor to sign any and all documents necessary to conclude the donation of the property to the town. And be it further resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the expenditure of those funds necessary to complete the transaction, including recording costs, tax apportionments, and title insurance.
Thank you.
This resolution is not subject to a permissive referendum under Town Law Section 220.
Thank you, Leanne. And before we take this resolution up, I would just have to say on behalf of the town and those users in the sewer district, how much we appreciate Lance Hillman working with the town to assist us. This is actually a significant cost savings to the town that otherwise in other circumstances the sewer project would have to pay for, and he has generously worked with the town to come up with this agreement and is amenable to it. And so would someone like to move the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Supervisor items. First thing, I want to thank the members of the highway department who today, in one day, got the Universal Playground parking lot paved. They just have some one area to add to, but the parking lot is done. The access road is complete, and I was down there today when they were finishing up, and they did a fantastic job. And so I want to commend the highway department for assisting us with that final part of that project. So thank you to all of them. Next item I have is I received notice from Charter Communications regarding upcoming changes to their fees. Spectrum will be charging an additional $1.54. I believe that's monthly for broadcast TV surcharge. Their seasonal broadcast TV surcharge will be reduced by $6.45. The Spectrum receiver / digital adapter will increase to $1 per receiver adapter. Spectrum TV Select will increase by $3. Spectrum TV Silver will increase by $8, except certain grandfathered active packages, which were increased by $3. Spectrum TV Gold will increase by $8, and Latino tier will increase by $1. That's all I have under supervisor items. Under committee reports, the insurance committee made a recommendation regarding our current insurance coverage and carrier, and we are staying with Amsure as a result of that recommendation, and therefore that requires a resolution to approve our liability insurance carrier. I have a copy of that. If you don't have it, I can read it if you have it. Would you like to read that resolution?
So be it resolved that the town board approves the town of Monroe's insurance policy renewal with Amsure for the period of May 1st, 2021 through April 30th, 2022 at a cost of $93,116.65 to be paid through various accounts. This policy includes automobile, property, umbrella, crime, and general liability coverage.
Thank you. Somebody like to move that?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. I believe board members received a copy of correspondence from Fred Coppola expressing his interest in resigning from his position, and also his willingness to stay on as long as we need him to during the transition. He has stated that his resignation would be effective May 6th, but I believe he's still working as necessary as we work through that. Does anybody know of anything different?
I don't know anything different.
Like, the thing is that they're really short staffed down there now, Jeff being out, and now Fred, I don't know if we're going to look into hiring some people down there. I know we talked about the full-time position, and John and I talked about this morning, some questions about what the salary might be or something, and John and I kind of kicked it around. He was thinking 30 to 34,000 for the manager's position, and I certainly would like the upper end of that. I don't think if we get it too low, we're not going to find probably maybe anybody to take it, but anybody will be worth anything taking it. So I think that go to 34, even a little higher up towards ideas are, but I think sooner than later we should probably get that.
Yeah, the only thing, we're ready to advertise. We didn't come to a consensus on what we wanted to post as far as pay,
Right.
whether you wanted it salary or hourly.
Right.
I don't know, does the board feel strongly one way or the other?
On salary?
Yeah, whether you want to do a salary or hourly.
Does one receive benefits and one not receive
No,
benefits?
they both, if it's a full-time position, they get benefits.
Considering that we're short-staffed, that person would be working a lot of hours. And they would be filling.
Well, they would, if you, by the description provided by the county, they pretty much oversee the entire operations and, plug any holes where necessary.
I prefer it to be a salary position for the reasons just mentioned. In that particular department, we have hours outside of the normal hours, with extended weekends and stuff. So my position would be salary. I'd rather post a range. I'm just getting concerned, and that lets us align someone's skills commensurate with the salary. So I'd rather post a range than pick a number.
I
Yeah,
think that's a good idea, Jim. We can see what kind of experience they have, manager experience or whatever.
So if all that is holding us up is agreeing on salary versus hourly and then a salary, a rate, I'd recommend salary and something between 30 and 34 as a range.
okay.
And then let's get it done. As it relates to the rest of the positions, I went in there and I don't see them posting, so I would suggest that possibly you guys work with them, let's get postings up for all positions there in the transfer station at the booth. Possibly some of the people that frequent it might be interested. And then work with supervisor's office and let's get it posted up on the Facebook page and on the website. Not just that position, but we're short bodies now.
Yeah, you know, it's everywhere. I can
That's
tell
a
you.
problem.
I think I mentioned to you at the last meeting, maybe we didn't have a meeting, when I was up at the Great Escape. I actually offered some remarks at the opening of the marathon dance. And prior to that, I was talking with staff there. They have 1,500 positions seasonal up there. And I was told that they received 9 applications.
For the job, only 9 people or some number showed up, some number very, very small.
So they're bringing in staff from their other operations to, you know, keep it going. But, you know, it's not just there, it's all across, you know, the county, the state. And unfortunately, it's tying into, I think, the unemployment benefits that, you know, why would you want to, if they've been extended, you know, through August 31st, why would you want to work when you can stay home and still get paid? So I hope that policy changes at the state level. I know other states are looking at it where, you know, they want to encourage people to get off unemployment, but.
I agree with all that, but at the end of the day, still, I think we gotta turn over every rock we can, so.
Yeah,
Post it
sure.
everywhere, get it out on social media, get it up on our website.
Yep.
If you want personnel committee involved, we're ready to have us interviews.
Am I going to move forward with the posting that full-time position?
Do we need a resolution
Advertising for
to
that?
create the position?
We already created.
You already created.
Right, so that would
I
be,
think you already authorized me to advertise it too.
Yeah, you're just waiting on
We're just
the
waiting on-
details. So you have enough information now?
I don't have a description.
Oh, well, my office has it for you.
So I'll
So,
advertise it tomorrow.
yeah, we'll, so the range will be, it'll be salary commensurate with experience, range 30 to 34, includes health insurance benefits and retirement benefits.
is it a civil service position?
Yes, I think it is.
I don't know.
The reason that we can do it is either there's no active list or no eligible, so I have to check with Jeff on that. If it is, so there will have to be an exam for it,
But we already checked and there was no.
but yeah, we're good on that. So you're all set for getting in?
I am, will I need to say in the ad that it's civil service if you tell me that, do you want me to wait or just, you don't care, just?
I'll have Jeff work with you on that.
Okay.
I can't remember. It's got a job title that civil service put together, but I'm not sure.
And for the part-time positions down there, we looking to hire 1 more, 2 more? I mean, we need 1 with Fred leaving.
I wouldn't worry about.
Jeff is gonna come back, Jeff's gonna come back, or not.
My position, my opinion, if you're asking for it, is I wouldn't worry about how many we're gonna hire, let's just get applicants in. Get the job postings out, let's start to get some applicants, and, you know, we might lose somebody else between now and when we interview them, so, I don't know how many we're budgeted for, so I don't have a specific answer, but I would get the postings up everywhere and get the ads.
If you wanna have the office make some kind of posting up, put them down at the light club.
My personal opinion is that we need to be creative and take some real grassroots approach, so the answer in my opinion would be yes. You know, let's
What's the
just,
salary on it, just say, I don't.
to the supervisor's point earlier, we're gonna have some struggles. And so let's just do everything we can to improve our odds.
You might find a retired guy or something, that's what we've had out there, is retired guys that like to pick it up for something to do, so.
And I don't know if we're going down a rabbit hole, so stop me anytime there, but I don't know if it would be allowed. I know that in the private sector, organizations have referral programs for their employees, so I don't know if we have any incentive that would entice our employees to recommend other people, but, you know, anything creative. He'll buy him a cup of coffee.
He will not do any such thing.
It's over 25.
Can I add that to the ad?
Sure.
For the full-time
Sure.
transfer station manager and just add.
Part-time
laborers.
laborers, we've already set the pay, right, at the organization meeting? Obviously, we must. So it would be, we should put that in the paper, what the pay is, right?
So each organization may have different ranges.
Well, the ones that's, well, we will review what the starting hourly rate was. I can get that out of my office and we'll give it to you. How's that?
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great idea that we're already running an ad that's put in every position.
Yeah.
If the entity doesn't care. Just don't put the cup of coffee.
All right, that's that. Any other committee reports? Executive session. Do you need executive?
Before you do that, can I go back to committee reports just
Sure.
for 1 second? So at the last meeting, we talked about like 2 water accounts. And
Oh, yeah.
the water committee to make a decision what to do. And I mean, we talked about the 2 water accounts, one overpaid, one underpaid. I told you that the people that overpaid have been the same owner of that property from when they started overpaying. And so I just need to know if the board wants me to refund or credit.
Yeah, my position, and I've done a record on this, is that I believe we should refund.
And I would echo and mirror what Alan says to refund at this point in time.
Do we need a resolution to do that?
I would do a resolution, yeah.
Do you remember the amount, Leanne? If not, I need.
I have it here, yes.
$858. But something came up in discussion though, that caused us to pause on this.
Well, I think the concern was that if we left it as a credit on the account, what happens when somebody might sell the land and then we needed to validate that we were giving money back to somebody that owned the land through the whole, or the property through the whole thing. I think that those were the things I remember being concerned, and I believe Leanne confirmed that we're talking about the same property owner.
So how do we handle the one that didn't pay enough?
Again, my position was I have a hard time going back. What was the amount on that one, by the way?
It was $154.24.
And we're talking about billing errors that were on the town's fault to go back to 2018.
Yeah, fall of 2018.
I haven't personally had a struggle going back and asking somebody to pay for services on a billing problem we created a long time back, and it was a small amount, so.
Yeah, I think I remember the conversation last time was brought up. My only concern was that this isn't spread out over the whole town. It's just the water district users in that district. So, it's a little bit. What this water district is that?
This is water district. Water district.
I don't have it in my mind.
Water district 6.
6. I don't know where we are with,
I suppose it's not any different though, if there's, a fire and they have to pull water out of a hydrant. You know what I mean? Nobody, the district eats the cost of it. I understand what you're
we're
saying.
charging the fire company now. We take it off their contract.
Good to know.
Just kidding.
I mean, if someone approached me and said, hey, you didn't pay it for the last 4 years or 3 years, it'd be this amount per year. I mean, and someone said, well, we could not charge you at all, or would you be willing to make a payment X amount over the next, that gets a little bit nutty for you though.
I'll pay it myself.
I feel guilty for not paying.
We're gonna spend more time tracking it and keeping track of it. It's kind of like concern if somebody starts.
So we're going to need the name and address of the property owners for a resolution. Do you have that tonight?
I do.
Because it has
Just the
Property,
address.
just the address.
just the address. There's a new owner.
Is gonna be, it's correct.
There isn't a new owner as of right now.
That's the
right now.
Not
it's the
either
same
address.
person that's had it.
No,
Not either, okay.
not either. Addresses?
So 11 Kimberly Lane is the property that would owe us money, but we're going to pay that. And 4 Gray Fox Drive. They have a total refund due of $703.76.
For the record, I did not know the addresses since I happened to live in that development. It's the first time I'm hearing the addresses.
And so just for some history, in case anybody did miss out on that, there was an issue with the meter numbers that were put into our system. The 2 meter numbers were both put in to the same accounts.
In the
And it
amount.
caused a glitch going forward where the one was billed, the other wasn't billed, it was estimated, and so it just caused havoc for a while.
And I apologize, but one more time, 11 Kimberly, the amount.
11 Kimberly would be the one that would have to be would owe us, and that was the 163.14.
And the refunded amount.
The refunded amount,
Right.
the total refunded amount is $703.76 because we'd be crediting part of the bill that hasn't been paid yet, I believe.
So you want resolution
Yeah, that's one resolution.
together or separate?
Do it.
Do it together. Present a resolution that references the address 11 Kimberly Lane, where we had a billing problem for water. This is Water District 6, that was caused by us having the wrong meter numbers recorded, that there is a balance due of 163.14 that dates back multiple years. Resolution to forgive that balance and credit off that, charge that off. And the second part of that resolution causes the same problems. The address 4 Gray Fox Drive, an overbilling that has occurred over a period of years. Proposal refund in the amount of $703.76. Does that work for you, Council?
That's fine.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We do have information, just as an aside, on the transfer station manager. This is from the county, corresponding with Jeff. It is a competitive class position, but they have no current eligible list. So we can advertise and fill provisionally, so that means it's a civil service position.
Must be.
Yeah, so we'll have to, we want to note that, because there must be an exam for it.
Whenever they do exams or cancel exams, right?
So that'll have to, well, we can bring it up during the interview process, but
And maybe it would help draw, if reference in the ad, maybe it would help draw applicants. I don't know.
so this is has to be approved by New York State Civil Service for a non-competitive class. Does that mean there's no exam?
If it's not competitive, there is no exam.
She says, this is one of my titles listed to be approved by the New York State Civil Service for non-competitive class.
To be approved, so it's not approved yet.
So we'll leave that out.
Yeah.
We'll leave that out. So that's just a point of information. And I do have a description if anybody needs that or wants to work on a watered down version for the ad.
I can attach that to the notice on the website, so people can click on it and see the duties.
Okay. So that's all I have for committee reports. I just want to see if I need an executive session. So adjourn. Motion, any other business? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. I have some documents for you.
You have checks for me?
I get some checks for you.
I've got documents